Hello everyone and welcome back to Whiskey Wednesday. Today I'm talking about a Whiskey Shop exclusive which I've been waiting to try for a really long time, and it's this. It's a 12-year-old or a 12 and a bit year old Old Pulteney 100% single cask sherry cask whiskey. Cask strength at 50.2%, natural colour, no chill filtration, all those wonderful things that we want from these kind of products. And as you can see by the colour on it, and you'll see in the cutaways, it's just this like GlenDronach 18 level of colour. Beautifully rich and very full. We've reviewed the full Old Pulteney range on the channel a while ago, at some point last year, so if you've not tried any of the range, do go and check that range out because it's quite an interesting collection. The 18 is a particular favourite and the 15 is quite different. But this is something really off the wall. I've never had Old Pulteney that's come from just one sole sherry cask before, and a lot of their influence is from bourbon barrels mainly. So this is something totally off the wall for me. I didn't know we were getting it, so it was a bit of a surprise when I came back off holiday and it was just in the shop. So let's crack on and we'll tell you what is going on. For you sherry heads out there, this thing is just going to tick every single box you'll ever want. I know I've already mentioned the infamous GlenDronach 18, but it does smell like it quite a bit. It is loaded with like that kind of Asian hoisin plum sauce kind of notes going on. Tons of like cranberries and little red berries, like goji berries. Really milky coffee, like kind of strong but sweet at the same time. Not really that chocolatey, wouldn't go there. It sits more on that kind of spicy, salty, Asian kind of sherry influence you might get every now and then. It smells quite a lot like Kavalan sherry cask actually, as well as GlenDronach. But yeah, red fruits. Not so much Christmas, less of that kind of Christmas cakey raisin kind of thing, more that kind of cranberry, red berry, as I mentioned, goji berries. A kind of more savoury, earthy kind of vibe to it. Don't get any salt, so there's none of that classic OP salty vibe. Let's tuck in and taste it. That's where the magic is. We definitely have to talk about the finish. The palate is mellow and gentle. There's not a real hit of sherry. It's more of a textural experience, which sounds silly to say because it's in your mouth, but you know what I mean. The ABV isn't that present. There's little hints of spice here and there, but it's manageable. It's not an offensive type of 50%. It's very easy, it's very approachable. There's a few more classic flavours coming through on the palate, so there's that sherry influence of kind of raisin, a little bit of milk chocolate, even though I said it wasn't on the nose, which is quite typical. You'd want that in a sherry cask whiskey about 12 years old. But the finish is like the really magical point with this. It has this, it's almost like a cliffhanger, because you get that kind of expected flavour profile, and then as you swallow it, it literally drops, and then it comes right back up. It's like a backdraft of flavour. The salt is there. That coastal Old Pulteney vibe really, really cuts through. There's just tons and tons of like dates and figs, plums, kind of like salted honey peanut kind of flavours. I'm gonna try it again just to give that one more go. But the finish on this thing really is where the money is. Just reinforcing my previous points, like the palate is so silky. If that's 50%, then I'd love to try more Old Pulteney single barrels because that does not taste like 50% alcohol at all. And there's that backdraft as I'm talking. It's that saltiness, it's that coastalness. There's like a charred oak vibe to it. Full and dry, salty but also very rich at the same time. like what you'd want from like a really good gravy. I know that sounds really strange to say, but it's just got that kind of like umami, sweet and salt, beautiful combination of flavors. And then it just slowly fizzles out to the sides, whereas the back of your tongue, you still get the saltiness. So it might seem like a little bit of a kind of a damp squib at the start, because it's quite typical on the nose, it's quite typical on the palate, but then the finish just explodes with flavour. I've only got 408 bottles of it. Well, 407 now, because we opened that one. But that is one of the nicest sherry cask whiskies I've tried in a very long time, from a brand that I love. Their Old 21 was my favourite standard 21-year-old ever, and this is up there with that. It is really, really lovely. It's not the cheapest single barrel on the planet, it is £110 a bottle, but if you want that big one-off experience of sherry cask, like I said, the finish on this thing, just to die for. Really, really to die for. It's like a solid 8.5 for me. Absolutely walks the boat. When we shut this video down, I shall be purchasing one of them because it's payday today. So, Old Pulteney 12-year-old, single sherry barrel, 50.2%, no colouring, no filtration, 408 bottles, 8.5 out of 10. Absolutely walks it. Whiskey shop exclusive. Come and see me because this is still open in store. But I've been Phil. This is Whisky Wednesday, and thank you all for watching. I will see you next week.